Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Hello and welcome. Let's dive right in. So welcome to From Cold Calls to Client Contracts. It's the proven method to connect the results that you're getting with your cold calls or your outbound dials within the next 30 days or so. Um, Basically, what we're going to go going over is three shifts that you can make in your marketing, your business development. It's going to make your cold calling a lot easier, a lot more effective. And this is even if you hate cold calling, even if it's sort of that you sort of see it as a necessary evil. I think one of the reasons we wanted to put on this training is we work with recruitment and search businesses all over the world. We speak to them almost every day of the week, and one thing that we're seeing happen quite often is that most recruiters don't have the clients they want. They're not able to bring in the number of clients they want. They're doing outreach, whether it's email, whether it's cold calling, but specifically around cold calling over the years, they've seen cold calling get less and less results, have less and less impact. They're having to make more dials for less and less reward. And it's sort of this big frustration around it because they don't know another way to do it. They're using the same scripts, the same methods that they've been using for years. And they're just seeing sort of results slowly decline. And you've got one group who love cold calling and then they just seen it decline. You've got the other group that sort of hate cold calling, hate the rejection that comes along with it, hate the desperation. Sometimes it can feel like really desperate making those calls to drum up business. And I think, all of these things combined, it means that when you're bringing consultants into your business, the consultants end up struggling as well because they don't like it any more than you do. And it leaves you having to quite often take on bad clients or less than ideal clients, right? Again, if that makes sense, give us a yes or no in the chat box. And basically what we're going to be today, we're going to be going over three shifts that you can make to sort of remove all of those challenges. But I want to make sure that resonates with you. So give us a yes or no in the chat box. And Sarah, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, as Drew said, we talk to recruitment and search business owners literally every day of the week. We probably talk to 7 or 8 recruitment business owners every day of the week from around the world in English-speaking countries, predominantly. In the old days, and I'm showing my age now, when I first entered the world of recruitment nearly 30 years ago, that's how you got business. You picked up the phone. I'm really showing my age now. There was no computers. You had a Rolodex and a fax machine. Some of you won't even know what a fax machine is, but that's what we used, and we picked up the phone and we'd reach out to potential clients, and it worked. Here's the problem. That was 30 years ago. People are still doing that today. And here's one of the big challenges with cold calling. The average hiring manager now gets between 10 to 15 cold calls a day, every single day. Think about that. Every month, they're getting 200 cold calls from 200 different recruiters, all pretty much saying the same thing. And that's one of the reasons it doesn't work. And added to which, it's even more difficult now to get through to decision makers trying to via the phone. And here's something worth considering. I'm yet to meet a hiring manager. In fact, I've yet to meet anybody that enjoys receiving a cold call, especially hiring managers. And if you do enjoy receiving cold calls, by the way, let me know. Give me your telephone number and I'll pass your number on to as many sales companies as I possibly can if you really enjoy it. So most people don't enjoy receiving them, and the majority of people don't enjoy making them. And one of the reasons that Drew touched on for that is there's all the rejection. There's almost this you're going to get rejected. People are going to put the phone down. People are going to tell you they're not interested. And that people are going to say we're happy with our current supplier. You're not on our peer. You're going to get all that stuff that you've heard a million times. And after a period of time, it can be absolutely soul destroying. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be that way. Now, I get as I'm saying that, you're saying, well, it's the only way that I know. And that's no fault of yours if you've never been shown other ways. But that's what we want to do today, share with you other methods that some of your competitors are using right now, and they never, ever cold call anybody. But their calendar's full of meetings with hiring managers who are looking for what they do. Back to you, Drew.
Yeah, and just to expand on that, when we say they don't cold call, we're not saying they don't pick up the phone. We're not saying they don't make outbound calls. It's just that everybody they're calling are prospects who know who they are. They know from their point of view, they know they have a need, and they're willing to talk to them about their services, right? So we want to make sure that everyone in your CRM or your X, whatever you use to dial out, know who you are, have a need for what you do, and when you call them, you're not getting that constant rejection. You're getting them being happy to receive your call and willing to listen to your pitch, to your services, because they have a need for what you do and they already view you as an authority in your market. Someone check in first of all. Does that make sense? Give me a yes or no in the chat box, if that makes sense, and if not, let us know as well.
Yes, a good point there, Drew. If you've got any questions or anything that we say doesn't make sense, please let us know, because we want to make sure that Everything we're saying is making sense. If it doesn't make sense, if you've got any questions, if you disagree with anything that we say, that's okay. Let us know. We're happy to address anything that you don't quite understand or you disagree with. More than happy to do that.
Perfect. So I'm gonna dive into the free shift in just a second. Before I do that, I want to just do a quick survey. Like who here obviously there's quite a few of you here. If it's your first time seeing or hearing one of our trainings, give me a one in number chat box. If it's your first time, give me a one. If you've been to one of our trainings before or listened to our content before, just give me a number two. Right. So one if it's your first time, two if you've seen or heard before. Right. So a lot of ones. Awesome. Okay, a few twos. Okay, so it's mainly new people, right? So what I want to do is just a brief, sort of very brief intro into who we are. I don't want to spend too long on it because I want to dive into the content. But basically, my name's Drew Edwards. Obviously, this is Terry Edwards. What we do is we help recruitment and search business owners make more placements. We help them have more conversations with interested hiring managers in the market. Help them convert more of those conversations into clients for the right fee and on the right terms. And we help them deliver on those deliver results for those clients in a way that doesn't suck time away from you and your family. It doesn't suck time away from you as a business owner, right? So that's effectively what we do. Before we dive into this content, just a very quick disclaimer, right? We've got about 30 to 45 minutes of content just for you. We've left 15 minutes at the end for questions, anything you want to ask us or anything like that. What we're not going to be doing today is we're not going to be handing you a cold calling script, right? I've been to some of these trainings before and I just give you a script. What I found is that when we do that or when people do that and everyone's using the same script, it really diminishes the results you get from that particular script. So we're not going to give you a script to use. We're going to more so come up with a framework for you to use going forward. But none of this is going to work for you if you don't have an open mind. You're not prepared to sort of change what you're currently doing for the better. We've got nothing to sell. First of all, so you can put your credit cards away, which is just going to deliver pure value and pure content. That's our goal for you today. But there's only one thing that we sort of ask from you and that is for your engagement. That means to shut off any distractions. So I'm talking about shut down your emails, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever you've got open, to spend the next 30 to 45 minutes with us diving into the content. Obviously, there's a chat box that some of you used already. I want you to sort of really engage in the chat box. Obviously, we can't see your faces. We don't know whether it's making sense or whether it's landing or not. So I want you to sort of, if you've got any questions, use the chat box, let us know. If it's not making sense, let us know as well. And if it is, let us know as well. Again, and if you're not willing to do that, then again, you're free to leave. But can I just get a sort of a yes or no in the chat box? Yes, if you're willing to do that, and we'll dive right in. If no, then you're free to leave as well. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, other than Jerry thinks that Jerry says you've got a nice beard, but we'll leave it there. Jerry hasn't got very good taste, so we'll leave that one there.
Thank you, Jerry. Awesome. Perfect. So look, let's dive right in, right? So what we found is, and again, we've worked with a lot of recruitment and search business owners over the world, right? And the ones who get the best results from the cold calls, ones who enjoy it the most, the ones who I guess have to make less styles to win a client, right? There's three sort of major things that they're doing in various sectors, various countries, various different languages, right? And we're going to sort of run through those three big shifts to you today. Again, as I said, any questions you've got on any one of these shifts, then just put it in the chat box and we'll go into it in more detail. But the first sort of big shift or big habit that I see, the difference between recruiters who get good results from the cold calling and the ones that don't is that recruiters who don't get good results for the cold calling, one of the biggest reasons is that they're going after the now buyers versus the future buyers, right? And just to explain what I mean by that, right? If you think about your market right now, or your market at any given time, only about 3 to 5% of the market are buying right now. They have open vacancies. They have a direct need for your services. And once I'm checking, does that make sense? Only about 3 to 5% of your market are buying right now, and they're the ones who are posting the job on job boards. They're the ones who you're seeing them post vacancies, whatever. But they're only it's only going to ever be a small percentage of the market who have a need right now, right? So I'm checking, does that make sense? First of all, give me a yes or no in the market in the chat box. And what you find is that it's that 3 to 5% that every recruiter is going after, right? So you think about how you cold call right now. You probably look at job boards, look at where the vacancies are, and you're calling those people, right? Can I help for the vacancies, right? So you've got the majority of the recruitment market going after the small percentage of people that actually have a need, right? And then you've got this whole 95 to 97% of people who are what I call future buyers. These are people that don't have a need right now, but they are going to buy in the future, right? Who are being completely ignored, right? And what's happening is all of you are going after that same small group with the same scripting, the same offer. And because because it's so busy in that part of the market, like you're getting ignored, right? They've received multiple calls from multiple recruiters that day, right? Again, just want to check in. Does that make sense? Give me yes or no in the chat box. And Terry, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, and just to add to that, so you're calling people that you know are looking to recruit because they're actually recruiting now. You've gone to their website, as Drew said, you've gone to the job boards, you've seen the ad somewhere, but all your competitors are doing exactly the same thing. So from the hiring manager's point of view, they're getting, as I said, 10 to 15 calls a day. So they're going to say, we're happy with our current supplier. We're going to do it ourselves, on our PSL. They may say, by the way, yeah, if you know anybody that fits this criteria, send them over. But even if you get that, what you've got is you've got a job order. But serve 5 or 6 of your competitors. The average contingent recruiter will fill between 20 to the best 50% of the roles they're working on. Even if you're filling 50% of the roles you're working on, it does mean that 50% of the time you're working, you're not getting paid. Because you've gone after the now buyers, the hiring manager hiring right now, and that particular hiring manager said to every recruiter, "Yeah, if you've got any candidates that fit this profile, send them over, and I'll have a look at them." So that's a challenge with the now buyers, and somebody just mentioned here about getting retained. And now buyer, if they've already placed the ad and working with a number of recruiters, they're unlikely to work with you on the retained basis as well. So if you want retained business, that's not the audience that you should be targeting, the what we call the now buyer. So yeah, thanks for raising that point, Matt. Much appreciated. Back to you, Drew.
Yeah, so you get basically there's two camps. There's the ones who call based off the prospect's need or what they think the prospect's need is, right? So looking at job boards, looking at job ads, and right, and they're calling those people. Then you've got the other group of people who call people at random, right? So they've got maybe a CRM or a big list of clients that they've worked with in the past, and they just make calls to that group of people, hoping that they're going to hit the right person at the right time when they have a need, right? But what's happening is, and again, all of our and this isn't just unique to cold calling, right? It's probably probably the same with all of your marketing, right? All of your marketing right now is probably going after the now buyers, right? So we're calling people up, and we're asking them if they have a need right now, right? And this is where we get the objections. I'm not recruiting right now. I'm not interested because we're asking them about their current needs, right? And we're ignoring the 95 to 97% of the market who are future buyers, right? So one of the big shifts you need to make is look at all of your business development, but specifically your cold calls, right? Your outbound scripts. Is it just asking about recruitment needs, right? What I want to do is shift away from their specific recruitment needs and look at their future challenges, their challenges long term rather than their challenges now. Again, just want to check in. Does that make sense? Give me a yes or no in a chat box, and any questions on that, let me know as well. And Terry, anything you want to add to that?
Not at this stage, Drew.
Awesome. Again, if you've got a question, someone raise a hand. If you've got a question, just type it in the chat box. Let me know if it makes sense. Give me a yes or no. Okay, so the first shift is to go after, you want to stop going after the now buyers and instead go after the future buyers where there's less competition, okay, and a more long-term need. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So, and the second shift is that we want to move away from selling recruitment, right? So again, what we're doing with our cold calling at the moment, or what most recruiters do, is when picking up the phone and we're calling someone, the offer is all about recruitment, right? We're trying to sell the idea of recruitment. We want to speak to prospects who have a recruitment need, right? Again, one of the things we've found is that the recruiters who get the best results on the cold call are not talking about recruitment, not aiming to solve recruitment problems. They're aiming to solve their client problems, right? They're looking at what problems do I solve for my clients? Or what outcome do the candidates that I place solve for my clients? Again, someone check in. Does that make sense? Give me a yes or no in the chat box. And Terry, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just to repeat, really, the hiring manager doesn't want recruitment. They want the solution that recruitment provides. So very simply, give an example. My background, some of you know Jerry and someone may know, I recruited within the IT sector. I recruited project managers for CTOs, predominantly within the retail sector. And what the CTO wants is that they want their projects delivered on time to budget, predominantly the two key areas. They want their budget, IT projects delivered on time and to budget, which ultimately is going to add to that retailer's bottom line. So that's what they want. But I could go in talking to the CTO. I'm an IT recruiter. Let me help you with their IT recruitment. Or I can talk to the CTO about ensuring that their projects are delivered on time and to budget, because ultimately that's what they want. Let me just check it out. I'll give you another example, which I think is a lot better. Have we got time to do the example?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me give you an example. A close friend of Drew and I is a personal fitness trainer. So he works with individuals to get them fit. But his target market are is men working in the city. And one of the reasons for that is it's real high ticket. I think he charges, I think Drew might tell me, I think it's 6,500 a quarter to work with him. But when he talks to a potential client, he asked them a number of questions. He said, "What do you want?" And most people will say things like, "I want to get fit. I'm going on holiday in a few months. I want to look good on the beach." And he will ask them a few more questions. So, why do you want to do that? He said, "Well, I want to look great on the beach. Um, as a man, I want my partner to find me attractive. I want to be fit enough to play with my kids." Now, most fitness trainers at this point will say, "What we're going to do, we're going to go running 3 times a week or 4 times a week. We're going to lift some weights, and you're going to live on broccoli and chicken for the next 3 months or whatever." But what he asked them about is, what will this give you if you're fit? If you've got the six pack, ultimately, what that give me? He says, "Well, I'm more attractive." That ultimately, what it means is my wife's going to find me more attractive. So ultimately, what that means is I'll probably have more sex. The personal trainer talks about this individual looking attractive and having more sex rather than eating broccoli and chicken. Because you talk to any about, you've got a choice. You can have broccoli, chicken, and go running 3 times a week, or you can have a six pack and have more sex. Most people are going to go for the six pack and more sex. Let me just check if that's making. Can I just check in if that's making sense? The personal trainer is selling the outcome, not the process. Your hiring manager doesn't care what process you go through to find the individuals. What the hiring manager wants is the outcome your candidate will make to their business. Just give me a yes or a no if that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, Ben says he prefers broccoli. Good for you.
And if you've got any questions, let us know as well. But I think, again, just to add to your point, Terry, I think um, this is what, like, because part of the thing this causes, right? Like, I think when recruiters are talking about recruitment, right, we're making cold call, and this again, we're talking about cold calling today, but this can relate to your emails, to your LinkedIn content, whatever. We focus so much on the process. We focus so much on recruitment and that we're the fact that we're a recruiter. But the problem is, so does every other recruiter. So, from your client's point of view, or for your potential client's point of view, they can't tell the difference between you and your 10 other competitors, right? So, if you're calling them up and even if your script's different, the offer is the same, right? You're offering recruitment. If you're calling them up, offering recruitment or a recruitment solution, and they've received 5, 10, 15 calls at the same on that day, offering the same solution, again, you blend in. They've got no way to differentiate you from everyone else in the market. Again, someone check in. Does that make sense? And the second that you blend in, even if you win the business, you're not going to get the fees you want, right? You're not going to get it on the terms you want. Again, someone check in. Does that make sense? Give me a yes or no in the chat box. And Terry, anything you sort of add to it from that point of view?
Yeah, and the moment you do that, and you're like every other recruiter, you're now a commodity. You're no different to any other recruiter. So what's going to happen now is that hiring manager will say, "I've just spoken to Matt. He said this. Sadie just said this. Damien just said that, but it's all the same. Vinder's just said this. Jerry just said this, but they're all saying the same thing. So there's no difference between all these guys. So the only thing that's going to make them different is the fees, because you're now a commodity. So if you think of here we go. Imagine for a second that I'm a rec to rec. So I recruit recruiters for recruitment business owners just like you. And I give you a call and I say, I'm a rec to rec guy. And if you're looking for any recruiters, I'm the person to speak to. You've heard that 100 times, no doubt, from other rec to recs. But if I was to say something like this, if I could introduce you to an individual that could add 150,000 in sales to your business, is that something you would be open to? Now, it's a completely different conversation, because you, as the recruitment business or search firm owner, you want the outcome. You don't want to know what the process is I go through to find these consultants, but you do want that 150, 200,000 added to your bottom line over the next 12 months. So if you want to stand above the crowd, if you want to differentiate yourself between yourself and all the other recruiters, communicate about the outcome that you're going to provide to that hiring manager. And the perception then is, this individual understands my business, because they're focusing on me, what it means to me, rather than I'm a recruiter, we've got a large database. This is our mission statement. We've been in business for 20 years. They couldn't care less. They really couldn't.
Yeah, and I think as well that's the only way that you're really going to get the interest of that 95 to 97% of future buyers, right? Because again, as you give that example, Terry, like there's obviously recruitment business owners on this call right now. Some of you will be in the market for a rec to rec service, right? Some of you will be, but it's probably going to be only a handful of you. But there's not going to be a single recruiter who's not in the market or doesn't have an interest for increasing their revenue, right? So if we're rec to reps, and rather than saying, look, hey, we can help you with your next hire, instead we say, look, we can help you increase your revenue. We're going to get a lot more interest, a lot more engagement. Again, the same for you, right? So go back and look at your outreach, look at your scripting right now. Are you talking about recruitment, or are you talking about the outcome that your candidates deliver, right? And what I mean by that is, if you place a candidate into an organization, what top 4 or 5 outcomes does that candidate give to the organization? Again, it's going to vary from sector to sector depending on what market you're in. But it could be more revenue, could be higher profits, could be, team around, whatever it is, right? You want to get clear on that. And then when you're speaking to prospects, whether it's on the phone or wherever, that's what we're talking about. Do you have an interest in this outcome rather than do you have an interest in recruitment? Because most of them won't have an interest in recruitment. And when you do that, what it gives you the opportunity to do is one, you get more engagement, the conversation goes a lot better. Secondly, you stand out from every other recruiter who's called them that day. But we have the opportunity to sell them on the idea of recruitment, right? So, Mrs. Client, if you want this outcome, one of the things that you can do is you can hire, right? Again, we have the opportunity to, rather than just speaking to people who are already buyers, already in the buying frame of mind, to move them along the process. And the way I'd like to think about it is, we're recruitment consultants. We spend a lot of time focused on the recruitment part and not enough time focused on the consultant part, right? So we can actually advise them the best way to get the outcome they want, which might be, hey, last year I placed a candidate in this organization and that candidate's now given that organization the exact thing that you want, Mr. and Mrs. Client. Okay, how about I do the same for you? Again, someone check in. Does that make sense? Give us yes and no in the chat box. And Terry, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. Every single hiring manager that you talk to will have 3 main challenges. It will be around time, often lack of time, team. It's about the performance of their team, and money. When I say money, it's about the bottom line. It's about the bottom line for the business. So if you talk to your hiring manager about those 3 challenges, and I guarantee they have one of those 3 challenges. I guarantee, by the way, that you have challenges around time, team, and money as well as a business owner. So that's the problem that your service must solve. So as an IT recruiter, as I mentioned before, when I'm talking to CTO, their problem will be around ensuring that the projects are delivered on time and to budget. And if it's not, it's having an impact on that individual's time because they might have to do it. If it's not, it could be that their team, his team or her team, is underperforming. And because there's an underperformance, it's impacting on the bottom line. For the CTO, they're now over budget because this project isn't being delivered on time. And the CTO, in my case, as an IT recruiter recruiting project managers, that was the problem that I was solving. So I'm going to get their interest if I can solve their problem. In particular, if I ask the question, so they say, my biggest problem is the underperforming team. And you ask the question, what's the implications for the business if this problem continues? What's the implications for you on an individual level if this problem continues? Because then he or she wants that problem solved as quickly as possible, because they now identified the implications if this problem continues. Just give me a yes or no if that's making sense before we move on. And I know it's different to. Sorry, go on, Drew.
I was going to say, there's a question here from Georgia. If you know the client isn't recruiting right now or doesn't have any requirements, how would you go about that, knowing that they don't have a requirement for the outcome at that time? Again, Terry, I'll get your thoughts first, and then I'll give mine as well.
Yeah. So Drew's talked about the now buyers. One of the things that you want to be doing, see, as Drew said, the majority of your hiring managers are future buyers. Majority, 90+%. So one of the things you want to be doing is talking to the future buyers about the challenges they're having around time, team, and money. Example, anybody with a team will have a number of people in that team who are underperforming, typically about 20%. So you say to them, what's the size of your team? There's 10 in my team. So if you've got 10 in your team, you've got 2 or 3 people that are underperforming right now? Yeah, I have. What's the implication if that continues? That's where the opportunity is, when you can identify what their problem is and get the customer or the hiring manager to talk about the implication of that problem if it continues. Georgie, would mind just give me a yes or no if that's answered your question, if I've made that clear enough. Back to you,
And
Drew.
if not, let us know as well, George. In fact, George, what if you think about the outcomes that you gives to your client, or
Yes, you said yes,
outcomes,
thanks. Yeah.
what outcomes? So this is a question for you, Georgia. What outcomes do your candidates give clients? Like, if you place a candidate in an organization, what top facts? Give me one thing that they give the organization that results. Okay, what is that result? Oh, sorry, that was Matt. Like, what's the outcome that your candidate gives? If you place a candidate in an organization, what outcome do they give that organization?
So very simply, if somebody here is recruiting, make it really simple. If it's a salesperson, it's going to add sales to the business. So ultimately, it's going to add to the bottom line. I talked about they were finance admin, so money of revenue wouldn't be something they would give. I don't understand
Yeah,
that. I
so it
deal
might
with
it, it,
finance.
it might be efficiency. It might be obviously it could be revenue. That's the easiest one, right? It might be efficiency. It might be time, whatever it is, right? So it doesn't really matter whether it's a money related thing, or directly money, right? But let's say it's team efficiency, right? If you place a candidate X into an organization, that team or that organization is going to run more efficient. That hiring manager or that that client at that time, they're not going to be thinking about hiring, but they are going to be thinking about, every day they're waking up, how can I make my department or my team more efficient? How can I make my organization more profitable, right? Every single one of your potential clients are thinking this all the time. They're not thinking about recruitment. They're thinking about their everyday challenges. Same with you, right? You're not thinking about rec to rec service right now, but you wake up every night thinking, or every morning thinking, how can I increase my revenue? How can I make more placements? How can I get more time back, right? So instead of, if I'm a rec to rec, rather than calling you up and saying, hey, let me talk about my rec to rec service, I'm going to say, hey, look, Georgia, Matt, whatever your name is, if I could show you a way to get more revenue in your business, can we have a conversation about it, right? And my goal is not to get a vacancy right there and then. It's to book another meeting, a sales call, and in that sales call, I'm going to go a bit deeper and really dig into your challenges, really dig into what's not working right now in your business or department, and then offer the solution. Which that solution could be, hey, look, Mr. Mrs. Client, you said that you're struggling with efficiency or profits or whatever it is. One of the things that could solve that is if I introduce you to candidate A, B, C, or D who has a proven track record of getting that exact outcome that you said you wanted. Would you be open to that? Again, so one check in. Does that make sense? Give me yes or no in the chat box. And Terry, anything you want to add before we move on to shift
No,
number?
nothing to add. Thanks, Georgia.
Perfect. Again, but I want to be clear, right? We're not going to give you the script on this call. That's something we do help our clients do, and I think it wouldn't be right if we just gave everyone the same script to follow. But that's the framework you want to be using, right? We're not going in looking to get a job order. We're going in looking to book a sales meeting, right? And I think that's probably an important mindset shift that we probably should have covered. Is I think when you're calling that 3 to 5% you have a need right now, the call's about getting a job order, right? And that's what a successful call looks like for you, right? If I can get a job order or an assignment off the back of this, great cold call. But if we're going after the majority of the market who don't have a need, an immediate need, the goal's got to be, can I get them to book a sales call, right? If I'm going to turn this 5 minute cold call into an hour long sales meeting where I go meet them face to face or have it on Zoom, whatever, and I've then got the opportunity to dig into their needs further and then sell the idea of recruitment or sell my solution down the line. Again, just want to check in. Does that make sense before we move on to shift number 3? And Terry, is there anything you'd add on that final point?
Yeah, it's worth considering in terms of motivation of hiring managers that hiring managers are motivated by one of two things: either to gain pleasure or to avoid pain. And your job as the recruitment business owner is to identify what their pain is, and your solution will help them avoid getting that pain. But all of us as humans, we're motivated by one of two things. It's called the pain pleasure principle: to either avoid pain or gain pleasure. And to get somebody to do something, ideally you want to get them to identify what the pain is. Remember, time, team, and money, something around there. The implications of that, and then your solution will take away that pain, and they're more likely to be motivated to do something. If that makes sense. Back to you, Drew.
Awesome. Again, any questions, let us know in the chat box. But again, just to recap the first two shifts is, one is don't go after now buyers, go after future buyers. Number two is aim to solve the client's problems, not sell recruitment. And number three is to have a strong reference point or reason for calling. So number three is to have a strong reference point or reason for calling, right? And what we mean by this, so one of the things we mentioned right at the beginning is that none of the recruitment search business owners really cold call. They pick up that they use a phone. Don't get me wrong, but they don't. No one they call is a stranger. Everyone they call knows who they are. Everyone they call has a need they can help with, and it's what we call a warm call, right? And the only difference between a cold call and a warm call is what happens before, or what happens, or what has happened before the call is made, right? And just to give you an example of what I mean by this, right? Let's imagine tomorrow morning you go into your office and you've got two sheets of paper on two dialing lists on your desk, right? Let's call it list A and list B. List A are complete strangers. They have no idea who you are. You don't know if they've got a need. They've never heard of you, and there's 100 people on that list. And then you've got list B, and these are all people who, they've got a need. They know who you are, and they've got a need that you can help with, right? And I think most of us here will be like, well, I'm going to call list B first, right? I'm going to get a lot better results with list B because it's going to be a lot warmer. List A could still win business there, but the complete stranger is going to be a lot harder, a lot more difficult. I'm going to have to make a lot more dials to win the business, right? So we want to focus on list B, and most of you right now, if you think about it, will already have a list B, right? You've already got past clients you've already worked with, you've already got depending on what marketing you're doing, right? You've already got people who have opened, read your emails, responded to your emails. You've already got people who have engaged with your social media content. You've got people on that list B already. I just think sometimes we're a bit random with who we dial, right? So one of the big shifts that our clients who get good results from cold or outbound calls make is that they don't worry about list A, and then they just focus on list B. And all they do with list A is they use their other marketing to get them onto list B. And what I mean by that is, right before, when I say like the only difference between a cold call and a warm call is what happens for the call, they will make sure that that person on list A or those prospects on list A has seen some of their content and has a need before they dial them. Has seen their content based on the outcome that their candidates can give, and they know that they've engaged with that content before they make the outbound call. Again, just want to make sure that that makes sense as a concept. To give me a yes or no in a chat box, and just give you an example of this, right? I guess a real life example that I know you'll understand. We've got a big list of recruitment business owners on in our CRM, right? And let's imagine that we're going to offer a product on cold calling, right? Product how to get better cold calling. I could either pull that list at random and hope that I'm going to speak to somebody who wants to get better results for cold calling, or I can put on an event like this, a webinar, and say, hey, this is a free event on how to get better results from cold calling. If you're interested, click this link, register for the event. So then I've got my list B there, right? All of you who have registered for this event, that's my list B. So then rather than calling the 1,000 people on list A, I'm going to call the 100 people on list B. It's a smaller list, less dials, but I'm going to get a better response, better uptake, because I know that you've got a need for what I'm offering, right? Again, if I want to check in, does that make sense? Give me a yes or no in the chat box. And I know we're not a recruitment business, but the same thing applies to you, right? If once you're clear on the outcome that your candidates give, this again, Terry uses let's say that you recruit salespeople. Let's say you recruit salespeople, right? So the outcome that most of your clients want is increased sales, increased revenue, right? One of the things you could do is you could say, look, I'm gonna go out and interview the best salesperson in my sector, or it didn't have to be the best, but one of the top performing salesperson in my sector, and I'm gonna ask them, what makes them a good salesperson, what have they done in organizations that they worked for to increase sales, right? So I'm gonna get all the answers from a candidate, right? I'm then gonna go out to my client list and say, hey, interview this candidate or this whatever job title, this sales manager last week. And he or she gave me his 10 tips for improving the sales in your organization. If you're interested, just reply to this email and I'll send you the recording, right? I'm going to send it to 1,000 people. I'm going to get 100 people reply. I've now got my list B by people who are interested in increasing their sales. Again, just want to check in. Does that make sense? Give me a yes or no in the chat box. And Terry, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, and let's find off from that. So you're now calling somebody, and your script's going to be something like this. Hey, just look at the name here. Hey, Ben, it's Terry here. Ben, you recently requested the recording of Secrets of the Top Performing Salespeople. Do you remember? Of course, Ben goes, yeah, I do remember. The reason I'm calling is because now you're going to ask for the appointment. Think about it a minute. So you're calling people. That's why we call it a warm call. They know who you are, and they also know what you do. One of the biggest problems with cold calls, and we've all been there, we've been on the receiving end of cold calls. Somebody called me the other day to offer solar heating, and they sort of launched into this pitch about solar heating. And I thought, I'm not even interested, but and I didn't know who they were. And they put the phone down, and that was the end of it. But it just got me thinking, that's exactly what recruiters doing. Hi, my name's Fred. I'm a recruiter. I've been in business 10 years. I'm just going to reach out to you. Why would anybody want to engage with you anyway? You're a complete stranger. And for you recruiters that recruit at a more senior level, and we're working with clients who get fees of 30, 40, 50. One client got a fee of 94,000. That was a placement fee for a 400,000 salary. You're not going to engage with somebody that you don't trust, you don't know. You're not going to. You're just not going to do it. People won't. People aren't buying from you right now because they don't know who you are. It's as simple as that. People aren't buying from you right now because they don't know who you are and they don't trust you. They don't trust you because they don't know who you are. You're a complete stranger. It's a big ask to go from. I know you don't know who I am, but will you spend some money with me? I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're making it really difficult. And bearing in mind, by the way, some of your competitors right now are using these techniques that we're sharing with you. So they only call warm leads. So they're calling people that you're after right now. Ben, I'm going to use you as an example again. So you're calling somebody, Ben, but some of your competitors are using techniques such as this, so they don't have that problem. In most cases, Ben, you won't even get through because the hiring manager, I don't even know who Ben is. But your competitors have got this type of process in place, so they're calling somebody that knows who they are. The gatekeeper says, what's the call about? It's about the information that Mr. or Mrs. Hiring Manager requested. Can I speak to them, please? Completely different. Gatekeeper, what's the call about? I'm a recruiter. The gatekeeper says, we're not recruiting at the moment. Not that they know, but that's what they're going to say.
Yeah.
And you know that. That's what you're getting already. It's completely cold. But there's no need to do it. Somebody just asked Adrian, what would be the best approach when you're taking over someone the client's list to call because they've left the job over there? It's exactly the same. You've got to warm up the list by giving the client, the hiring manager, something of high perceived value that indicates to you they may have some interest in engaging the recruiter. And they're the people you're calling then, the warm inquiries.
Yeah, again, just want to check in everybody else. If it's making sense, give us yes or no in the chat box, and let us know. Any questions as well, let us know. But yeah, just to answer the question there, like it's whether it's a new business, an established business, or a new desk, doesn't really matter, right? What I would do is I'd think about what outcome do my candidates provide when they join the organization, right? And it's going to be there might be lots, might be a few, might be a handful, whatever. And I would create a resource based off that. I'll create some content based off that, and it could be an interview with a candidate who does that exact job and what outcome they give. It could be just from my understanding of the industry itself, but whatever it is, it could be a video, could be a white paper, could be a checklist. Doesn't even matter. Like checklist 10. I think it was George who says that it's finance and admin roles, right? So the checklist could be 10 things to make your team more efficient, or 10 things to make your finance department more efficient, right? So it's a simple checklist. And then I'd offer that, like most people have LinkedIn connections, you'll have an email list. If you don't have an email list, you can get an email list quite easily. If you don't have LinkedIn connections, you can start connecting with people today, right? And that my cold outreach would be that, right? It'd be all automated. It'd be something that someone else can do. And then I'd offer them the cheat sheet or the video or whatever. And then I'd call the people that said they were interested. And it's simple as that. That way, I'm only ever calling people who have a problem that I can solve. Again, so when check in, does that make sense? Give us a yes or no in the chat box. And then just quickly got sort of 15, 20 minutes for questions if you have any. Whilst you're doing that, anyone that wants to know more on this and wants help actually implementing this into their business, if you go to makemoreplacements.com/triage, I'll put the link in the chat box anyway. You can book a 15-minute call with us. We'll give you some more trainings on this and also help you sort of structure the script and the process to make this happen for your business as well. Hopefully it's been useful so far. But yeah, let us know if it makes sense if you've got any questions. And Terry, anything you want to add?
Nothing really to add, other than I want to repeat. If what you're doing right now isn't working, you're not getting the results that you want, it would be wise to consider doing something else. It would be wise to book an appointment and just say, what are you guys? What are my competitors doing right now that gets attention? Some of our clients are getting 30, 40 meetings a month, every single month. Jamie just said that he really struggles to get credible content to share.
Interviews. Yeah.
Credible. Any ideas for compliance? And yeah.
Yeah. So you've got candidates that you've placed already, right? You've got clients you work with already. What I would do probably, and again, this is one of the easiest ways to do it is to start a podcast, right? So interview one of your past candidates, interview one of your past clients about what makes them good at their job, right? So what do they do when if it's candidate, what have they, what do they do when they go into an organization to make it successful? Again, you will have some credible content there. It's not even necessarily your content, but it's what we call a client magnet. Because anyone that's interested in that content, they're going to have a need for what you do, right? And I think candidate's a perfect way to do it because it also illustrates or also a good demonstration of your ability to find that person as well. Again, so Damien, does that answer your question? Terry, any sort of alternative thoughts on that?
No, nothing to add to that. Again, let's know, Damien, if that's making sense. Peter's got a question here. Most recruiters mostly make calls to sell a ready candidate to managers I know are hiring. If I was to focus on future buyers, what is the best reason to call for a cold call? There's two parts to this. First of all, Peter, you're right. Most recruiters do talk to a hiring manager. That's the now buyer right now, and it's a really small market. So it's first of all, it's worth considering that. If you want to focus on the future buyers, you want to again get them to raise a hand by some of the examples that we've given you. We gave the example of a webinar, and again, I'll keep repeating this. Your competitors are doing this right now. See, this webinar that we're doing right now, we can put out again and again and again because it's recorded. Your competitors right now are doing webinars. They're then making it into a podcast, but they're putting out this content right now that positions them as the authority. And it makes the hiring manager want to buy from them because they position themselves as an authority. So what you want to be looking at, Peter, is what can you do to identify the future hiring managers? One thing that worth doing, Peter, if you can click on the link and book a call, we can go through it in more detail because we can make it specific to your industry. But you want to be identifying the future hiring managers rather than the hiring managers that are hiring now. So marketing out a candidate, we used to call it MPCs, marking out most placeable candidate, marking that out. You're only going to market out to hiring managers that are looking right now. Excellent. So you focus on CEO level contacts initially. Fantastic. One of our clients, in fact, I just stopped him. He will get 13 meetings every single month with CEOs using these techniques. Every single month, consistently. Question for you, Sadie. What would it mean to you if you could get 13 meetings a month, every single month with CEOs who are actually in the market for what you do? And our particular client, he only works on a retained basis as well. If you want to access how to do that, say, please go to that link there and book a call. We can go through it with you in more details exactly how to do that. It's just a 15-minute call. I'll be happy with 5. Yeah. Per month, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I thought you meant 5 o'clock. Yeah. 5 per month, yeah. Book a call with us, Ed, and we'll look at your business and come up with a specific plan with that. Yeah. Awesome.
Any questions before we wrap up? Anything else we can help with? Again, it doesn't have to be questions on this, could be questions on anything. No, awesome. Well, look, thanks a lot for giving us your time today, and again, thanks for being engaged. It really makes it easiest for us to deliver the content. I hope that you found it useful. Again, those of you that book calls, we'll speak with you soon as well. For everyone else, again, we do these trainings once a month. So again, you're on our email list now. Obviously, we'll send the trainings through when as and when they come up. Terry, anything you want to add before we wrap up?
No, just please go to the if you type the link in again, please, Drew. If you want us to look specifically at your business, if you go to make more placements, Drew's going to put the link in very shortly, and book yourself a call. We'll look specifically at your business and share with you what you're going to be doing to get the results that you want. I think it's somebody saying they're getting 5 meetings a month. We'll show you to get 5 meetings in 2 or 3 days, literally.
So yeah, someone just said that there's no calls past November. So I think they've all been taken up. So what I'll do,
of course, yeah.
I'll get someone to call you, a warm call based on this. Probably tomorrow to get a date in.
Awesome. Anybody else had any challenges? Yeah, because all the calls, all the slots for November have now gone. Let us know, and we'll get somebody to reach out to you and get some information to you and get something booked in. So thank you very much for joining us. Until next time, folks, take care, take action, be relentless.